Hey everyone, what is going on? Welcome back, and here's another video and another short presentation on how you can supercharge your sales process by outsourcing. It will help you close a lot more deals. We'll go a little bit into we'll compare a little bit about the SDRs doing it themselves manually within your company or the founders doing it versus outsourcing it. Outsourcing is just an excellent way to close more deals, see better results, convert more users, and it's a great addition to any type of sales or marketing tools that your team is already using. It could be very budget friendly and it will help you in the long run. It can also scale up as well, but we'll talk a little bit more about that in the next couple slides. Again, if you're ever looking for highly accurate and qualified sales leads, make sure you check out Growth OK. That's growthok.com. So let's go into some stats right here. Traditional cold calling is dying. It's not dead yet, and there's still many companies using it, especially like enterprise companies. They take the yellow book and they do it, but that's traditional old school. Now there's email, there's text message, there's LinkedIn. There's so many different ways, Messenger, whatever. But let's take a look at some key stats real quick. In 2007, which is almost, well, literally is 10 years ago, on average, it only took 3 cold calls to reach a prospect. So you call like 1 out of 3 cold calls, you reach somebody. In 2015, that number went up. It took 8 cold calls to reach a prospect. That means that you guys are spending more time, more resource, more money, and it's just not as efficient as time goes on. And now it's even worse because it's 2017. So that's about 10 cold calls to reach a prospect. And that's a waste of your hires' time because you're paying them by the hour. Another key stats is that 2% of all cold calls result in an appointment. That's just an appointment. We're not talking about closing a deal. We're not talking about sending a proposal. It's just reaching somebody to talk to you where you can present them your idea like a pitch. On average, it takes 7 hours of sales work to set one appointment. That's a whole day of work, assuming your sales guys work 8 hours a day. That's 7 hours. That's like the whole entire day just to set one appointment. And remember, this isn't a proposal. This isn't a contract. It isn't a closed deal. So cold call is dying, and it's getting worse by the year. By the time it hits 2020, we don't know what the stats will be. So what's the solution to cold call? More and more companies know that cold calling is dying. So they're going towards a modern solution, and thanks to the book The Predictable Revenue by Aaron Ross that was written quite some time back, he pretty much presented a modern way of prospecting, right? By building out a scalable sales development team. Is a much more effective way. You can create multiple touch points and you're able to reach a lot more prospects using different technologies, leveraging it instead of picking up the phone and hammering down that yellow book. But the problem with that is that hiring SDR, or your team needs multiple of them and they have a lot of things to do at the same time, it can get very pricey. So it's not really budget friendly, especially when you have to train them. It takes them a couple months to onboard. Then you have to kind of teach them, and their base salary plus commission, man, that could be a hit on your company's budget. So let's break down a quick cost of the SDR. Yeah, we're doing a lot of math here, but all the key stats is very important so that you can compare outsourcing to doing it internally, right? So an average salary, depending on the location, of course, of an SDR is about 55,000 US dollars base. This doesn't count commission yet. I mean, if you guys have really good SDRs, you'll be paying more, but that's also a good thing because that means you're closing more deals because of the commission, right? So onboarding an SDR usually takes about a month before they can even start prospecting. It could be more depending on how complicated your company is and how much they have to learn, because they do have to learn your software, your product, your solution, and it takes time. So if you narrow down the salary, that's probably roughly $230 to $250 a day per SDR that you're spending on a budget. So in like 2 days, that's $500 just giving to their base salary. And a typical SDR, sales development rep, their task starts off with list building, sending cold emails, following up with calls, replying to emails, more cold emailing, more calls, and hopefully they get a jackpot lead, a sales qualified lead, the SQL that they can actually pass to the account executives to do the closing. You never want your account executives to do prospecting as well, because look at the list of daily tasks. First of all, people that are closers, they're not good at list building, they're not good at doing research, they're not good at doing all this grunt work like sending out cold emails, but they're very good at closing. So you want to let them focus on closing while the SDRs go do this. And plus, they don't have enough time to do the list building and the company research and the prospect research, right? So on average, a typical SDR spends 2 to 3 hours a day just researching and building a list of contacts. That was part of the list building job, right? And then it takes 2 to 3 hours manually emailing them after they did the research on the prospect. Then it takes 1 to 2 hours a day just on the phone, and depending on how long the conversation lasts, it could be, they probably only talk on the phone with 5 to 6 prospects, and 10% of their contact emails end up inaccurate because they're using tools, they're using these like lead database, they're buying email lists, but all these services, a lot of times, a lot of these tools, they hold database of outdated and inaccurate leads. So they end up having bounced emails, or the person left the company and they're just no good. So on average, 30% of their time is dedicated just to researching and list building, which concludes to roughly 50 to 60 cold emails a day, but that doesn't even include follow-up. And it's just a lot of grunt work, right? A lot of time. So what can you do? Well, as I mentioned in the very beginning of this presentation, is that outsource. You can outsource at scale and grow quicker. You can speed up the process. Does that mean you should not hire a sales team? Absolutely not. You should always have a sales team, and that sales team should always be growing, and you should always invest in talent. But dumping a big chunk of money into 3 or 4 SDRs, 2 or 3 closers, and 1 or 2 sales engineer and a VP of sales, whoa, that could be your whole entire salary budget. So you only want to hire when you have the budget to do it, and only when it's necessary, right? So outsourcing, it will allow you to scale quickly. You can you can pretty much provide outsourcing as an addition to your SDRs so that they can go a lot faster. What if they can just spend their entire day prospecting? What if they can just spend the entire day sending cold emails and calling these prospects and responding and getting on the phone with them, instead of list building, instead of doing these personalized research to get custom data on the prospect? Then it's much more efficient. So on a typical day, let's say if SDR is supposed to do 50 cold emails, that includes their list building and researching. But now, while you're outsourcing, you're providing these SDRs with really highly qualified and targeted leads and all the data that they can actually push through these personalized emails, because they have so much data now, so much accurate data, that they can probably push through 200 emails a day. Now, that's like 4x the amount that you're spending, right? So it's so much quicker and it's so much more efficient. And it's a great way to get your SDRs to stay motivated and prevent burnout. All right, and it saves cash, of course. And your SDRs will get much higher response rate because the emails will be personalized, right? The cold calls will be personalized. You already have this outsourcing process to provide them with this data. But there's some of the things that you have to look for when you're outsourcing. When you're outsourcing your lead generation, especially, or list building or researching, you have to make sure that the service or solution can provide you with custom data. That's a lot of things that I see a lot of founders do wrong when they go outsourcing. They're looking for these lead generation companies and they don't give them custom data. They're just giving them a list of like first name, last name, email, company name. That's not that helps, of course. It still speeds up your SDR process, but you want the personalized data so that your SDRs can send personalized emails, right? So you have to make sure that a service, that solution that you're outsourcing to can provide these type of data for you. And these data should be customized depending on what type of industry you're in, what type of roles you're targeting. Multiple data points is what you need. And another thing that you have to make sure that you're doing right is You have to make sure that the company can provide you with accurate and updated emails, updated phone numbers. The problem with a lot of stuff, I'm not going to mention any company names or tools, but they hold a database of all these leads that are like from 10 years ago. These people don't work at the company anymore. Their emails aren't working anymore. They switched departments, they switched companies, they left the job. They got laid off. The company shut down. We don't know, whatever. But the fact is that if they're not updated and accurate, then it's a waste of time. Your SDR is going to spend 5 minutes crafting this personalized email, and then it's going to bounce. And wow, what a waste of time, right? So make sure that the data is accurate and up to date. Make sure they can do advanced filtering. You want to be able to segment your lists, right? You might be testing a new target. You might be going against a new market. You might be looking at some competitor lists, competitor analysts. Make sure that the company can provide you with these type of filterings to make your sales process easier. And you have to make sure they're reliable and can scale up with you, so they can provide you with like 10, 20,000 leads, right? It's good to start off with something small in the beginning, but as you scale up, as you hire more closers, more prospectors, you want to be able to equip your team with them. So make sure this company is scalable with you. And make sure it's cost effective. All right, cool, understood. So now you know the benefits of outsourcing, how it can help you close more deals, see better results, achieve your sales goals. Now, let's talk about the different ways you can use really high quality sales leads. There's not just, you don't have to just use it for prospecting or giving it to your SDR. There's so many different ways. You can use it to target and test a new sector for your product, right? So let's say you guys are like a workflow management tool that all types of industry can use, right? There's logistics that can use it. There's SaaS companies that can use it. There's services that can use it. And you guys just don't have the time and resource to go out there and list build to test these new targets. Well, use the outsourced lead generation solution, get those leads and outreach to them, see if they're interested. Maybe you discover a sector that you never even knew about. You can use the quality sales leads to go for higher value sales deals, right? So target enterprise deals, you would need some really good point of contacts. You might need this. There's different ways to use it where you can use it to get past gatekeepers, get the direct contact information, no more switchboard numbers. Use it as a custom audience for Facebook. Retarget people, create a lookalike audience using Facebook ads doing this. Create LinkedIn ads. Request the lead generation company to provide you with LinkedIn profiles so you can use it for LinkedIn ads and like Twitter cards. You can use it to automate your outreach. There's so much more you can do. The possibility is endless. But that's the end of this presentation. If you guys are looking for a good company, a reliable company with highly qualified sales leads that can provide you with custom targeting, advanced filtering, and up-to-date information, check out growthok.com. Thank you, man.